What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So I was listening, not really watching, just listening to I guess it's the recent podcast Unlocked. It was Paris, and it was Ryan McCaffrey, and it was Michael Haim. I guess that's his name. And the one dude that's the most important dude that I can't remember his name. But he used to work at Xbox. He was basically the creator of Xbox Live Arcade, and all that stuff. And it's a really interesting interview because unlike some of these people who used to work for Xbox, he actually has some intelligence and he is not biased. He has, like, everything he said made sense. And so, he was talking about his experience, how he had to come up through, not up through Xbox, but like when he was there and he had the idea of doing live, or like doing this thing where it was they're gonna have these games in the service, that like smaller arcade games that people could buy. That was the kind of the genesis of Xbox Live and Xbox Live Arcade. And I think it was Robbie Bach, I think, or the other dude with the hoodie. I forgot his name. He might be his. Anyway, they were in a meeting, and the one guy who was launching, he was like, I can't do it. It's too. I have to worry about basically back in the day for OG Xbox anyway, and for systems before that. When they were manufacturing the consoles, they had to flash the actual chip that was on the system with the OS, with whatever the OS is going to be, because there was no internet. They didn't plug it in, get an update for your console. That didn't exist. So, the Xbox, technically could have done it, but it was still too early, right? So they had to flash the CPU or wherever they stored the OS, RAM or whatever, or ROM, excuse me. But they had to like kind of hard code that into the chips on the boards. And so he was like, I can't do it. I need to do this. I gotta, I don't have everything set up, blah, blah, blah. And then the person in charge was just like, yo, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do the Xbox. We're gonna do the live arcade. We're gonna do it. What you need some more money, boom, boom, boom. And they made it happen. And it was the best thing that happened in video games. There have been many pinnacle points in video games. If you look at past, back from the history, I give Sony their flowers. I give PlayStation their flowers, and that they took it from 2D to 3D the right way. Sega was lacking in their macking. Eventually they got there, but they were mainly an arcade, arcade company, and they made, I don't know if they made more money with their arcades, but their arcade games at one point were always better than the home console. And then at one point, they kind of converged, I guess, around the Dreamcast. But then at that point, boom, everything's done. Because basically the Dreamcast was the Naomi, was it the Naomi 1 board or 2? I can't remember which board it was. I think it was the Naomi board. Same thing, same hardware, except one's arcade, one's at home. Anyway, they had to flash it. And so anyway, they made it happen. And so, like I said, that was one of the pinnacle points. Sony had the 3D, pushed games into 3D. Everybody was like, 3D, cool. And also CDs. And that was cool. That was cool for a good 10, 15 years, right? And now, or maybe 20 years. And now, what's happening now is another turning point. And, Microsoft has been there all along, pushing the industry forward, but no one wants to give them the flowers. No one wants to say, oh yeah, the reason why trophies exist on PlayStation is because of Xbox. The reason why a freaking PlayStation Store exists on PlayStation is because of Xbox. The reason why microtransactions, as good or bad as you may think they are, exist, Xbox. So most of the things that you see in the industry that are commonplace today are because of Xbox. Now, they didn't invent the Rumble. That was technically, it was like arcades, but I think the N64 had it first. They had the Rumble pack on their controller, I believe. And then, everybody else kind of adopted it. So, we give Nintendo their flowers. It's all good. But like now, it's the digital age. Everybody's buying digital joints. It's they're buying digital games. They're not buying cartridges no more. They're not buying freaking things no more. They're not buying all those things anymore. They're just they're just download, right? And so it happened to PC. What was it? 10 years and more than 10 years ago. It's 2000, just like 15 years ago, probably even sooner than that, where they stopped making discs because computers don't even you cannot get a disk drive, a CD drive or DVD drive or Blu-ray drive. You can't get them on computers. You have to buy it, and they're so bespoke. It's like, why would you even want to do that? It's weird. So it has been happening for almost 2 decades now, and now it is happening to video games. Obviously, it's a natural progression. That combined with the the streaming services, it's just a foregone conclusion that that's happening. And so, Microsoft started that back in the OG Xbox with digital downloads, because you couldn't buy Pac-Man Championship Edition. I don't think there was. There might have been a physical version of it, but I don't think so. But the first game that was all digital, the first game that was in the 360 basically was Hexic. That was it, right? And there's no physical copy of that. So, the precedent was set by Microsoft. Precedent was set by Xbox. Throughout the years, throughout the generations, you see the precedent being set. And even the Xbox One, as horrible as that generation was, they set some precedents. They tried to, but they were too early. And now, looking back, it's like, well, if everything's digital, and then you could just, they basically were giving you the right to sell your digital game back, sell the license back, get some money or whatever. But people were like, oh no, blah, blah, blah. Idiots. Because we could have been 10 years in the future right now. You could have been trading all your digital games. Like, I don't even play that. Let's sell those, get some extra credits, go buy something else. But no, y'all want to be donkey, unicorns, and ponies and mess it up for everybody. But no, whatever. That's fine. Eventually, y'all will catch up to the future, because right now y'all are just idiots. And so, it's like, we see what's going on. We see how these companies are moving, each of them, right? And we constantly see Sony biting off of Xbox. They are copying the Xbox playbook. And if you don't see it, then you're choosing not to see it. They are going to put as many of their games on Xbox. Now, these donkey, unicorns, and ponies they're just in doubt. They don't believe it. They can't believe it, because this isn't how it works. This is not, once again, this is not what the consoles used to be. This is not what the industry used to be. Industry is different. So the consoles are changing. Now, here's the thing. If PlayStation comes out with a PlayStation 6, which, hashtag no PlayStation 6, if they happen to make one, and it is just a more powerful PlayStation 5 Pro, they're done. It can't just be that. And I have a feeling that they're going to probably build into their system some contingencies, meaning that they're going to have the ability to change the OS, or let's say add a different Steam store, if you will. Add some different stores in there to be like who? Xbox. Because they have to. They don't have to. And the fact that their games are going to be on Xbox regardless of what they do, it doesn't matter what they do, they're still going to be on Xbox. If they choose to continue to put their games on PC, they're going to be on Xbox. That's just a foregone conclusion. And so they're so stuck in a rock. They're between a rock and a hard place, only because they're trying to satisfy and placate the very small vocal minority of ponies and donkey unicorns that are crying about exclusives, crying about this, crying about that. And they even say it in their little, fireside chat thing. They're like, "Oh yes, we still understand the importance of exclusives and blah blah." They're just trying to make y'all not cry hard. That's all. And I'm like, Hiroki Totoki is probably sitting there grinding his teeth. He's like, I want to. Hiroki's like, "Oh, I'm about to backslap and you." I mean, look, if it was up to Hiroki Totoki, he'd be like, "Who are they paying our bills? Not really, because they're not really buying our games. We need to sell more games. How are we gonna do that? Sell it on Xbox, but we're not, because we're gonna make the fanboys mad. Don't care. It's about money. It's always been about money, but now the big bosses are saying it. But still, the fanboys, they're denying it. They're in super denial. They're in so much denial that it's just like, yo, they. I mean, the longer they stay in denial, the harder it's going to hit them when it does happen. It's going to happen. It's already happened. Helldivers 2. And of course, with the failures of Concord, never forget, worst failure in video game history ever. Thank you, Sony, for that. We're looking at a future where all games are everywhere, basically. Sony's going to try to hold on to that timed exclusivity thing. Keep their games off for a year or 6 months, whatever it is, right? Whatever they whatever arbitrary time frame they put up there. But the longer they wait, the more money they lose. If they do a day and date, they make more money, but they lose face with their fanboys, pony, donkey, unicorn. So they got to make a choice. They got to make a choice and say, look, man, we got to make money. They want to get to that 10% margin or greater, they said. They can't play. They can't play these foolish games that these ponies and donkey unicorns are forcing them to do. Well, they're not forcing them, but you know what I'm saying. And then I was watching Sigs and Serial. It's a new channel, and he's pretty good. I like him. Check out his channel. I'll try to remember to put the link in the description. But if I don't, Sigs and Serial. And he was talking over. He was doing a reaction to MBG's little crash out about what was MBG crashing out about? He was kind of going all over the place, but he was really talking about how the Xbox fanboys. I mean, he's basically saying everything. He was saying that everything that we're doing or we were doing, whatever, or wanting like ports or port begging, that was part of it. And I'm like, the only reason why we're doing it, port begging, is because we want to accelerate the change that is inevitably going to happen, which is full slate, PlayStation full slate on Xbox. That's what's up. So it's like, look, when Helldivers 2 comes out, I'm buying. I didn't pre-order it, but I'm gonna buy it. $40. Yeah. Well, I'll play it. I'll check it out, see what's up. But I mean, it's only $40. I'm like, whatever. Also, And in doing that, I wish that every Xbot out there would do that. Just buy the $40 version. You don't got to buy the $60 version. Buy the $40 version to prove that this business that they're testing out. That's what MBG says. That it's worth the scratch. And that's the only reason why I'm buying it, because I want to ensure that full slate is going to come through. That Spider-Man ends up on Xbox. I mean, a version of Spider-Man is going to end up on Xbox anyway. They literally own the publishing of the older games. So all they got to do is go to Marvel, like, yeah, we want to put them on. Can we do that? And I mean, the price is heavy because Marvel wants their cut, but it's all good. Microsoft, if they wanted to, they could do it. I think they're waiting for Insomniac Spider-Man, or I think they know like when Insomniac might be doing it, so they might time it where they put the older games up like maybe a couple of months before, and then Spider-Man hits, just to prime it. You know what I'm saying? Get everybody kind of like, that's like it. Then the new Spider-Man hits, like, okay, like if Spider-Man goes on Xbox, I'll buy it. I mean, it's an Insomniac game. I have Sunset Overdrive. It's basically the same game except palette swap Spider-Man and palette swap Sunset City with Manhattan and all the different characters. I think Sunset Overdrive is funnier. It's written. It's very funny. It's a very funny game, written that way. And I think some of the bosses might be a little more creative. only because they had freedom to do whatever they wanted. But I mean, it had its limits. But it was their first open world game, so. And if it wasn't for Sunset Overdrive, Spider-Man wouldn't exist. As it is now today, they use the same engine, they use the same background bone. Like I just said, they just swapped it. If you go underneath the city in Sunset Overdrive, it's all water because Sunset is basically an island. Well, one part is blocked by mountains, and then but anyway, but it's all basically water underneath the city because I forgot there was a hole in the geometry and somewhere in the map I saw like a kind of not a cheat, but it was like, oh, here's the hole, and then I went in, I was like, oh man, I found it, and I was like and I think I saw something like that on Spider-Man mess up. I was like, what same thing. So it's like, once again, same engine, but regardless, these Donkey Unicorns and Ponies, they're so much in denial that they are trying to create any type of narrative to downplay Xbox players, to downplay Xbox, to pump up PlayStation. Oh, they don't need to do that because they have 80 million sold. And I'm like, oh my gosh, again with this. King was saying today on his live stream that nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how Sony they have not sold 80 million. I don't even know where this 80 million came from. I guess people just rounded it up because the last number I heard was 77. But that's not sold through. That is not sold to people. That is manufactured. That's what King said today. I've been saying this for however long I've been saying it, a long time. And like I said, I'll give Sony 63 million. Let's just say that. Because I cannot know or equate what they're selling because they're not telling us the numbers. I wish they would be more transparent about that because then it's better for the industry. They're just worried about, their perception and stuff. And, oh, we look good in the public eyes, even though they're crumbling financially behind the scenes. And I'm like, that's stupid. Stop doing that. Be honest. Be honest with the people. Be honest with and everybody will be like, all right, cool. We don't have to worry about any shenanigans and stuff happening, but it is happening because that's how they do business. So I am so glad that Sony has an adversary like Microsoft. It seems if you look at Sony, they're doing whatever. They're buying, anime studios, and they're buying and they're focusing on movie stuff because they have a movie studio, even though they're not their best movie studio. They've kind of ruined a bunch of franchises, but whatever. It's not the worst. It definitely ain't the best. See Ghostbusters. And so they have their things that they're doing, and they're not pro consumer. I mean, ultimately, well, I can't say that. I was going to say ultimately none of these companies are pro consumer, but some are more so than others. Sony is not the most pro consumer video game company out there, nor is Nintendo. They are the worst as far as the manufacturers of consoles. I would say it's hard to tell. I mean, they kind of go back and forth. Sony has done more egregious things, but Nintendo, as of recently, has been doing some bad stuff too. So, but I'll still put Sony at the #1 spot as far as anti-consumer behavior. Nintendo second, and I guess you could say Microsoft third because there's no other, ones. If you want to include graphics card manufacturers, Asus and MSI and all that stuff, that's a whole different story thing. And that's a whole different thing. Then the list becomes very long. But if you want to just talk about the 3 console manufacturers, that's the list. PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, right? And so when you look at, like I said, the behavior before and how they're moving and what they're doing in order to stay, a fruitful business and gain more customers and just, I mean, that's the 2 things to make more money, right? And how do you do that? You gain the confidence of your customers. If your customers have confidence in your product, they will buy your product. The reason why PlayStation is successful is because it's word of mouth. It's not because the product is better than Xbox per se. It's because it's like zeitgeist. Everybody's buying it. Word of mouth. Everybody got a PlayStation. That's what they buy, right? But this next console coming up, once Xbox does what they do and they implement Steam I mean, just that alone, I'm like, I'm buying one. It doesn't make any sense for me to buy anything else because everything else is less than what Xbox is giving me. And I'm not even considering performance. That's how genius this move is. I'm not considering performance. I'm like, I can play my Steam games. I can play my Xbox game. I can play Epic game. I can play GOG games. They got Amazon Prime games I can get off of GOG, I think it is, and other places. And then you got the streaming aspect. There's so many. The library of possible content that one person can have exponentially expands and multiplies by just one box, and that's the next Xbox. And I'm talking about the home. I'm not talking about the handheld. That's the same. It's the same, except it's a handheld. Will I get that? I'm not sure. I want to see how that shakes out because I don't really want to buy the Asus one. I'd rather get the Surface Teams one, that one that they were working on. You know, and they haven't officially said that they have stopped working on it. That was just a rumor that I heard by somebody, blah, blah, blah. So still might be coming out. So we'll see on that. But the home console, yeah, I'm going to get that. Will it be expensive? Yes. But I'm going to expect that. And that's fine. But, and will it be more powerful? Sure. But is it going to be, oh my gosh, the best graphics? No, it's going to be an incremental, gradual kind of leap from where we're at right now. And that's perfectly fine. But once again, if PlayStation doesn't follow the leader, which is Xbox right now, they're done. Do you realize how many people who are primarily PC gamers would buy this new Xbox because of Steam? Steam alone. Be like, oh snap, I can put that, just slap that under my TVs and stuff. I could put that in my car. You know, crazy people be hooking up their cars with TVs and stuff. Like, I could put that in and have Steam in there. All kind of situations where you're like, oh shoot, I could bring it on the trip with me. I mean, you could do that with the handheld. That's even better. But it opens up video games so much more than what they're gonna do. Another PlayStation. Oh, okay, sure, that's cool. They're gonna try to do exclusive stuff. Sure, okay. Everything that they have done, PlayStation in the past, that has gained them success or made them the market leader or whatever, will not make them money. It's going to hurt their bottom line. I don't think that's a road that they want to travel. And I don't think it's a winning strategy. But anyway, I appreciate y'all enjoying. Like and subscribe. Hit me in the comments below. Let me know what you think about all these things. Go watch that Podcast Unlocked with the dude. I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll put it. And yeah, just watch the whole thing. Don't like skim through it. Watch the whole thing because he does like mostly all the talking. I think Paris asks a question and Michael asks a question and you know Ryan does as well. But it's very minimal. It's mostly him talking about. So I was like, cool. I don't want any of these fools talk. I just want to. Well, Paris isn't a fool, but the rest of them fools. But I just wanted to hear him, and it was great. It was really insightful, and it was like, oh, okay. And then you kind of relate what he said to what's happening now, like the kind of culture and environment of Xbox right now. And you're like, okay, I get it. You know, it makes more sense now. And then whatever places, you know. But anyway, I appreciate. I'll talk to you on the next one. Tilt the weight.